There we are. There we go.
You're videoing me?
Yes, ma'am. You're on, and I'm gonna come over there with you.
I didn't do my hair.
Yes, ma'am. You're on. Come right over here with you, and we're with the Nashville banner.
Yes, we are.
Steve the Bob. What's your name?
Laura.
Laura.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so I'm just gonna get your levels really quickly. I'm gonna make sure that.
Okay. I'm loud. I'm pretty loud. That's why I keep mine down low.
Okay. Would you mind just keep talking?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay. Would you mind saying your full name?
Yes, I'm Stephen D. Nelson.
Okay, perfect. And how did you get involved with Dr. Ima in this program?
Okay. Well, it's a group called Streetworks. Miss Sharon Hurt now, and I give out condoms, and I got involved with Streetworks doing the condom distribution. And so when Miss Ima came up with the concept of having a community-based outreach program through the barbershops, they reached out to Streetworks because Streetworks already had worked with barbershops in the condom distribution. So we ended up having a series of Zoom calls and meetings with not just myself, but with numerous other barbers, and I was picked as one of the barbers to be like on the team and actually help to facilitate and build the program out because they understood the academia part of it, but we understood the barbershop part of it.
And how did you initially get involved in Streetworks, the condom distribution?
I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous, and one of my brothers in Narcotics Anonymous used to work for Streetworks because Streetworks does a whole lot of outreach, not just condom distribution. And one of their main things is trying to eliminate disease through drug interactions. So it kind of interacts with Narcotics Anonymous like that. So it was a guy that used to work for Streetworks that brought me into the condom distribution. And then now I'm in the system, so it was just natural like that. Streetworks is attached to a lot of different things: HIV awareness, intravenous drug prevention. I even believe they give out pipes and all that kind of stuff. So what they're trying to do is to keep addicts from sharing and materials which increases their ability to catch diseases. They distribute and clean, they switch out and clean up syringes and stuff like that.
And
I don't know if he was recording or not.
No,
I know I am.
No. No, I would record on my phone too, but it was disabled. Okay, now we're good. Now we're good. And so what did you think, how did it work when Dr. Ima first came to you with Streetworks with this idea? Do you remember what kind of those first conversations were like?
Well, the conversations were, what did we think, or did I think, that the barbershop was the place to have these conversations because the program is cutting the stigma. So if when you think about stigma, in Narcotics Anonymous, it teaches us the stigma is the last thing to go. Like, I've been clean for 12 years, but in some people's eyes, I'm still a crackhead. Don't matter if I own houses, business, cars, all this stuff don't matter because the stench of it, the stigma of it, supersedes and goes before whatever my gains are. So I understood stigma. So I knew nothing about HIV. It hadn't intersected with me personally at the time, though it has now. Because I have a family member that has been diagnosed, and it's funny how God works and how things are. But the whole thing is that I understood stigma because it was something I dealt with myself for as an addiction. So you can overcome the dereliction, you can overcome the homelessness, you can overcome the being broke, the clothes, you can overcome all those things. But the last thing to go is the stigma of ever being that in the first place. So I understood that. And so what we're trying to do with this program is to break the stigma in the community of HIV. Because when it came in such a way that it became dirty to even have HIV, when it's really actually like cancer. It's an incurable, treatable disease though. So you can live a long life as long as you medicate properly and stay, high blood pressure. Yeah, you can die from these things, but like blood pressure, cancer, these things were never dirty. The stigma about HIV is it says something to your sexual habits, the way, you know what I'm saying? Are you gay? You got all these negative connotations attached to it. So that's what we try to educate people about. First of all, you don't even have to have sex to catch HIV. So just when people just automatically thinking it's a sexual disease, if you can just cure that up, if you can clear that up, because they could have been intravenous drug users. Back in the day, before they fixed the blood supply, you could have got it through blood transfusions. You could have got it through children being born in it, coming through the birth canal. So it's a whole lot of misconceptions about HIV. And I had them too until I came into this program.
Yeah, what were some of the things that you remember learning in the initial trainings, when you're starting out?
The biggest thing I learned is that it can be prevented. That they actually have pills, they actually have drugs, medication that you can take. If you know you're promiscuous, you live, what's the word I want to use? Dangerous, you out here and you don't like to wear condoms, stuff like that. They actually have treatment that you can take that will prevent you from even getting HIV. And then if something was to happen or you just got loose, just like they got the Plan B for women, they have a pill for HIV. So within 48 hours, you can take this pill and then you can eliminate your, the ability to get it. So that was the first time that they actually had the PrEP and PEP thing blew my mind.
And from the beginning, were you kind of sure you wanted to participate in the program? Did you have any reservations about it, or what made you feel like you were the right person? This was the right shot for this program.
Because of who I am personally, because of my own personal experience with addiction and Narcotics Anonymous. So I knew I was the person. Plus, like I told Dr. Alma when I first met her, when I was in prison the last time, it was made clear to me that my life was going to be telling my story, and I was going to get paid for it. Now, I didn't know that that's all the vision that I got. I didn't know what part of it I was going to be telling and how that was going to work, and I still don't know. All I do know is that when opportunities arise, I understand what it is, and then I just move. So I'm going to jump out the window, grow my wings on the way down type of person. And so them coming to me was just, like I tell people all the time, you have to take what the universe gives you. Like you can want what you want, but you might want to be a singer, but the universe might give you behind the scenes. You might have got the Grammy that you thought you was gonna get, but you might have got it for sound and engineering. So like for me, I take what the guys give me. I know I want to share my story. I want to be like a Les Brown. You know what I'm saying? I have a story, and I believe that it can encourage, and I come from, I'm really from the bottom, you know what I'm saying? I've been through a lot to get to where I am, and I believe it's inspiring, but I can only tell the story to, whatever the game gives me. So if it's HIV is what they're giving me, HIV done took me around the country. I done flew around the country, stayed in some of the nicest hotels, spoke to the International HIV Conference, Did I see that coming? No, I didn't even know nothing about HIV. But if this is what I get, then this is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Okay, that's really, so, I have so many questions. How do you, I guess first, what are some of the things that you learned from these conversations with your customers, things that surprised you, or just things that came up in the course of this project?
One of the biggest things is like, because, it's a multicultural shop right here, but we deal with a lot of black males in particular, but heterosexual males mostly. But we have the LGBTQ community and everything, and but the thing is if I can get anything across, is that the way they promote it, even when they do PrEP, because now like when you become aware, have you ever bought a car and you didn't see none of them, and then you got the car, and then every time you go down the street you see your car? Because now you have become aware of that thing. So now that I'm in the HIV space, I've become aware of it. I realized that they want it to be a general message. They want the world, you know what I'm saying, to understand that the HIV still exists, because it's just like COVID. They just kind of stopped talking about it. They ain't cure it. They ain't, you know, so it still exists, but they do have ways of medicating. The treatment has grown exponentially over time, but they still promote it, whether knowingly or unknowingly, as a gay man's disease. So if it comes off, and that I'll make you aware of it next time you see the commercials on TV for PrEP and all this stuff, you're gonna see that they're still promoting it as a gay man disease. So heterosexual men are not paying attention to it, because if you're not in that demographic, why would you care? You know, and I share a lot that, to me, the HIV pandemic, the epidemic of HIV, is sort of like the drug epidemic. In the 80s, you know, I was born in 1970, I came of age in the 80s, cocaine, Scarface, all that. I got caught up in cocaine, then it turned to crack, and I got caught up in that. But the way that the society viewed that area of addiction is completely different than they are viewing this area of addiction now. With the heroin, I never did any heroin. Fentanyl, I wouldn't know it if it knocked on the door and said it was fentanyl. But because of who it's affecting, now we gotta pay attention to it. We gotta throw these resources at it. We gotta do. But when it was in my community, and it didn't affect certain people, they criminalized it. They sent me to prison, time after time. But now they got a new jail down here. I ain't never been in this new justice center, but they got like 10, 12 beds dedicated to treatment for fentanyl, you know, opioid, whatever they call it. But they're dedicated to it, and they treating it. They're not looking at it as a criminal. So you know, the HIV affects everybody. Everybody won't care. But when it's your little brother, when it's your mother, when it's your sister, when it starts to connect to the connective tissue of the nation, then we'll change how we look at it. And it's just sad that that's how it is, but that's how it is.
And how did you know, were conversations about health conversations you were already having here, or how did you get into those conversations with customers?
Well, the thing about it is, we talk about that all the time at the barbershop. But the thing...
You talk about what all the time?
We talk about sex and relationships, and this is a male space. The difference between then and now is, once you have the information and you have a different outlook on it, then we're not having a locker room conversation now. It may start as a locker room conversation, and then it ends up in a more informative conversation because we have the information. So, you know, I would share, you know, I came up, like I said, in the 80s. We didn't have all this information. You couldn't even just get a free condom when I came up. So mostly you became aware of sexual education through your peers. You can imagine what type of education that was, because, you know, they still pieces and bits of overheard conversations, big brothers and uncles, and, you know, we're trying to create a whole dialogue based on pieces and bits of information and who's had a little experience and who didn't. But today, you know, they have way more information available to them. And we have more information like now I'm big bro, I'm uncle, I'm a granddaddy. And I have the information, so I can lead them and guide them in a way that I never was. But the barbershop has always had those conversations. The difference between the shop down and the shop then is that it's more informed.
Can you give an example of how
I get into a conversation?
How you get into a conversation? Okay. Yes, and also how you got from the locker room to the more health health information.
Well,
stuff.
One of the things is, as you noticed when you came in, we have visual cues in here. You know, we got pamphlets over there.
Can you describe what some of the pamphlets, just for the...
Okay, so the pamphlets talk about getting tested, why you would want to get tested, and then it gets a QR code. Excuse me. It has a QR code that will link you to all the departments around here where you can get tested, that is free and stuff like that. then we have we receive doing training. We have these certificates to say we are male health ambassadors. So now, mind you, too, barbershop business is one of those businesses where the customers are repeat clientele. So as I'm going through the journey, I'm already sharing with my repeat customers every step of the way. So then, as we start having those same conversations, now we're having those conversations, and I have an opportunity to impart more information. It's getting received because the barbershop has always been the conduit of information. Like everything I ever needed, I've been able to either find a connection to or a source or resource that I need through the barbershop or Narcotics Anonymous. I've never had to go outside of those two things to get anything, whether it be doctors, mechanics, places to go, food places. When people come in from out of town, they look up the barbershop. They come in and they ask, where's a good place to eat? Where's a good club? You know,
Go get some water. You go get some water.
But they ask you that, and we've always provided that, you know. The barbershop's always been like the black social club anyway. Thank you. So we do have, we've always served that purpose. So it was never difficult to get into that. So say, we're coming up on prom season. I've seen so many, I just turned 55 last Thursday. So I've got guys that I started cutting when they were preteens, and then they're in college. So I watched them go through the whole phase of this. So they go into prom, what you gonna do after it? And these are the kind of conversations we have. Well, you know, you need to get some of them condoms, you know, and then, or they don't become accustomed to coming in and getting those condoms. Like, you do something on, boy. Then you add in, you know, it's things that the condom won't keep you from. And because we already associate with these people, we already mentors, we already guides, we have the ability to have those more personal conversations. You know, and it's not a lot of women in here. You know, I have women here, but they back there behind that wall. So there's not a lot of women in here. So men are free to have conversations that really at this day and time, too, in America, it's not even comfortable to have. You know what I mean? So I think this is not only for what we're doing with HIV and cutting out the stigma, but I think this is going to be a place that we can concentrate on disseminating a lot of other different type of information in the future. So I hope this pilot program has such an effect that other information that needs to be given out and given in the way that the person who gets the information really grasps a hold of the information, it'll be a place that they'll start.
What kind of other information do you see kind of working well in this context?
Like, just that's like the educational conversation, like, you know, to reduce the dropout rate and stuff like that, or the recidivation. You know, like I don't know if you know when you get up, I got my parole certificate on the wall. The reason why is I want those young men to know that I went through something. They might ask me about it, that I can tell them about it. And then by me sharing my experience with them, maybe that's a road they won't go down. You see what I'm saying? So like we can reduce the recidivism rate for us incarceration, the school to prison pipeline, by having those type of conversations in here. Maybe we can talk more guys into like me myself. I believe in when it comes to secondary education. I really believe in the what's that? What would you call it? Not college for the sake of college, but technical schools. Because I never went to college. I got a GED. Then I went to barber school when I was 40, and I own this place. I used to work here, and I bought it. So the path to ownership, which I think is what is going to best produce for the black community, it's technical jobs. Like if you get an HVAC job, or you get a carpentry job, or you do roofing, you can go from working for a company to owning a company because you have the skills quicker than you could go get a master's degree. I mean, you can get a master's degree, but I know a lot of people with master's degree, they don't own nothing. You know what I'm saying? And you can work for the federal government, but I know a lot of people right now, they nervous as heck. You know, because they work for the federal government, they don't know if they're gonna get fired. They writing, having to tell what they did in the last 30. You know what I'm saying? So if you wanna kind of protect yourself from outside sources and be more self-reliant. Of course, I rely on the public. You know what I mean? And but it's a certain kind of, or it's a certain level of faith, resilience built in to ownership, because I don't know who's coming in this door every day, but I've been here long enough, doing it long enough that I have faith that I'm gonna get what I need. And when you don't know that the check is coming on Friday, the way you handle your money and the way you live is different from somebody who has a job. See, I only get paid by the service. And see, I didn't know this. I used to have jobs and stuff. I didn't know why Shoney used to send me home early and all that. But once you get into ownership, you understand the other side of it. And like, I'd go to work, clock in. It didn't matter if I was working, wanted my check. I'd sit here all day and didn't make no money. So I understand I get paid for a service. I get paid for the services that I do. And so there's a lot of stuff in here, like the bathroom. Nobody get paid to do the bathroom. But we have to have one. And it has to be, has to be clean. It has to be serviceable. We got to be ready for the community. So it's just a whole nother level of thought process and ideas that I think the barbershop would be perfect and primed to proliferate. What do you think?
This is fascinating. I think this is really so important. Actually, this is connected to another issue that keeps coming up in reporting that I've been doing, and it's specifically related to fear and anxiety about white doctors,
right.
And that preventing people from getting care. And I wondered if that's a theme that's come up for you, and if you. And the role of, health ambassadors like yourself in this, and also just what you see some of the solutions to that being.
I don't think it's necessarily about white doctors. I just think the doctor class, they're not connected to the people who they serve. Like Dr. Amos, she's from Nigeria, I believe. And during this process, we've had conversations where what they're trying to do academically, no, not bad or nothing. But it's so far above what's really going on the ground, and they've done so much school, and they're disconnected. So she actually got me and another brother, Nate, into the Vanderbilt community health worker certification class through their nursing department. We both finna graduate that. I finished all that. I'm really just waiting on my certification. And I think we're leaning a lot more into the community health workers. And all that is a liaison between the doctor and the community. You're from the community, but you understand doctor speak, but you know what the community needs, and you're in the middle to make sure what the doctor says is retranslated back down into people talk. So they can understand why they need to come back every week, or the doctor can understand why they can't because of that transportation. So like the greatest thing I learned about in this whole process is determinants of health, or social determinants, period. Even though, intellectually you know about it, but until you can contextualize it and put it together, you don't understand. So like, you're a doctor, you tell your patient, come back once a month, and your patient don't come back. But you don't know the patient don't have a car, the patient not eating, the patient living over here in this dangerous area, all these things. So you as a doctor, you just feel like this is a hard-headed, intolerable patient, and they won't follow your directives, and it's impossible for them to follow those directives because of the social determinants. So having that community health worker understanding doctors speak and having an awareness of, a general awareness of what's going on and why the doctor is where he's at, and being able to understand their language, because they speak in a whole different language. They talk, they write in a whole different language. They write you ever watch this, look at a script? They write in a whole different language, and being able to translate that, you know, and be the go-between, be the liaison between the community and that doctor, so that the community understands why, where, and you can ask the right questions, so you can relay it back to the doctor why they have, you know, and y'all can try to come up with the, you know, and then connect those people to the services, bus passes, you know, housing, food banks, knowing all these things. That's a game changer. And so during this process, I've done that, you know what I'm saying? Me and another guy, we just went through that course with Vanderbilt. So now just imagine, I'm at the barbershop, I'm cutting hair, I'm touching the community every day, because my business is actually hands-on touching the community. Now the community's talking to me, and I understand the social determinants. Now I don't have that other connection, but if I had that other connection to just say, where we at, Woodbine, wherever the nearest, I think right up here on the Legion Fields, they have a Nashville Health or whatever. So I'm right here in the community, doing community outreach, doing what I do, connecting people. It's awesome. You see what I'm saying? So just imagine that you're already like the seat of the community. You speak the language of your customers, because it's other, you know, you got Arab shops here. So just say some of those are trained, and they're speaking to their community. You have a Latino shops here. They speak a whole different language. If I showed you one of my cards, my things, I had to make one side of English and the other side Spanish, because of there's so many Latino Spanish speakers around here. So, and if you notice through Nashville, because we got bigger, it's a lot of separation. You know, like you'll go and you tell a Spanish place because everything's in Spanish. They don't even try to communicate with the outside majority. They just dealing with their own kind. They got a store over there. You know, everything's Spanish. So in order to break through all that, you're going to have to have a liaison. If I speak Spanish and I refuse to learn American, or it's not necessary for my day-to-day get down, but I'm living over here, I need somebody to speak that's multilingual to be able to bridge that gap, you know. So
was there anyone in the cohort that you were a part of that was from those communities, Arabic speaking or Spanish speaking?
No, because this program was mainly looking at black heterosexual males, because when it comes to black heterosexual males, we like one of the #1 groups that don't go to the doctor, don't know our status, you know. Most black men, they have to be sick to go in. So, and that's not the case with black women. But you have to understand, I understand it now, because like when your eyes get open to a lot of things, you can see clear. With black women, you got to understand from the beginning, weak, you know, they have health care, especially if they're black women with children and stuff. They end up getting sucked into the system, and they get walked through the system. They have doctors, but men, not so much. Not even in recovery. Like even in recovery, I'm looking to try to build a recovery base. Like, you been in Nashville for a while?
4 years.
4 years. Are you familiar with like Mendenhall's and Magdalene? They're big women.
Yes.
Even if you go down to the Mission, my friend of mine, my pastor, he's a counselor down at the Mission. They built the women a brand new facility. They don't do that for men. Even like when I was in prison, they have women guards and men spaces where they can see in the shower. You go into any men's restroom, it's not doors on the, you know, they don't have doors on the, it's just like, it's the level of humanity for men in this country is different. They would never have men in the women's showers in any situation, penitentiary or not. They wouldn't do that, because they could see the potential of the abuse, but they'll do it the other way around, like as if abuse is not capable to abuse a man. A lot of men are dealing with abuse and the effects of abuse. It's been proven that hurt people hurt people. But when they deal with men, it's strictly from a punishment type of perspective. And when they deal with women, it's from a place of where we're trying to understand what will make a woman do this, what will come. And I just think we're all human. And then, you know, for whatever reason, from lighter to darker, that disparity grows. The darker it gets, the more this disparity grows. And that's just not America. I'm not just put that, that's all over the world. So until we like have the real conversations to deal with the real issues, we're gonna constantly be doing the same thing because nobody wants to be honest. This is like what's going on right there. Everybody knows what this government is doing right now. But they talk, I watch the news, I get so tired because they ask a question and they talk all around it. I'm like, y'all know this is not constitutional. Why y'all just can't say what it is? So, you know, let me get before I get on my soapbox.
No, I'm here for the soapbox.
Yeah. So they know, and nobody addresses the elephant in the room until the elephant gets so big that it's taking up all the room, and that's all it is. And I think that's what's happened. Like even in these conversations, it's uncomfortable to address the elephant in the room when it comes to HIV and cutting out the stigma. The elephant in the room is y'all keep saying it's gay. And if it's gay and I'm straight, then I'm straight. When the truth is, it's a disease and it don't have no sexual effects. It's just like we told them forever that addiction was the disease. But until it was their son, their daughters, to their OD, it was a whole bunch of to a bunch of white kids started ODing. It didn't matter. And that's just the bottom line. People get mad. They can call you a hate monger. The truth is the truth. When that started happening, I'll give you a prime example. Today, if you use drugs, you sell drugs. It's just that simple. So, anytime you got caught with drugs in Nashville, they gave you a selling drugs charge. Send you to jail for 8 years. You know, they had those mandatory sentences for crack cocaine. Don't matter if you just got caught with $20 worth. Don't matter if you got caught with a crack pipe too. Because I ain't never got arrested without both of them because they go together. You know what I'm saying? And they give you 8 years, 12 years. You know, then they compound those years based on how many charges that you done got. But and if they do give you a program, it's a jail program where they're making money for the program, but it's all about the money. But not one time have I seen somebody else charged for somebody else's usage until now. So this kid buys drugs, he ODs. That's terrible because you're gonna lock up the kid that sold him the dope for murder. They never did that, but they doing that every day now. And it's not because he sold him the dope, it's because of who died. I'm from North Nashville. You've been here 4 years. I'm from North Nashville. That's my grandson. Hey, what's up there, James? Can you stop it for a second? Go ahead. Okay. Okay. And no, you ain't bugging me. You're not bugging me because that's my grandson. And at some point, he gonna have to realize. But it ain't just him. And so when you come and we talk, man, you gonna have a better talk. You know what I'm saying about what I think. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so I'm yeah, I'm over here at 7 o'clock at night every night. So you can't see him. Right, right, right. Well, I think the thing. This is what I really think. I think cause TJ definitely gets dealt with, but I don't think that what he gets is consistency everywhere. And what I mean is, see, when he's with me, I don't have none of those issues, but I'm very consistent. If it ain't good today, it ain't good tomorrow. It won't be good next week, next year. You know what I'm saying? If it's good today, then it's cool tomorrow, and I'll defend him to the death to the day after of it. You know what I'm saying? So and I don't think my thing is I don't think he knows, like, if you're not getting, cause I mean, let's just keep it a being. Let's just keep it a being. I'm secondary. I'm first when he's with me, but I'm secondary. It's women that overrule me. You understand? Okay. And so when I deal with those women, because they won't listen and they'll overrule me and they don't have a problem about doing it in front of him, I believe we had these problems. You see what I'm saying? Right. Exactly. So we got to put together a united front. So what I probably do is, if you really want to meet and we really want to have have a conversation, he don't even need to be at this conversation, but his mama, his grandmama, and me need to be at this conversation together, so we can have that real conversation, because that's the problem. Uh, you can't be different in different areas in different places, and you be allowed to be different. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. Right, right. Well, maybe y'all need to put that together. Now, I was thinking that check this out. What about this here? Because you caught me in the middle of an interview with the banner, but check this out. But this is important. What about me? You call my daughter, have her get her mama. Me, you, my daughter, and her mama have a meeting, and we'll discuss. But then you tell them that we're going to have a meeting with the staff, with the school, because some of the stuff we're going to say in front of you, because you my kinfolk, we ain't going to say in front of them folks. I'm sorry, y'all. I know y'all hear me. But it needs to be said, and then it needs to be backed up by having a meeting with the staff. You see what I'm saying? So that they understand the brevity of it. You see what I'm saying? The weight of it. I know where it's going. And here's the thing. So see, when they spoke to my daughter and my mother, they spoke to the best face that they have on the planet to put in front of them. And that's cool, but if that's not who you are at home, then that's not what you're gonna get at school. And that's the bottom line. And that's why I said we gonna have a conversation with them, and then we need to circle the corner back, because here's the thing, man. You can't work, I can't work, she can't work, her mama can't work if he ain't working in school. And Journey started to exhibit the same stuff. So first she thought she was saying it like it was just a him problem, but now she having problems. You see what I'm saying? So you have to go to the root of the tree, man. If you're gonna do anything to change the fruit that comes, you got to go to the root. And so let's do that. Let's figure out when it. Yeah, exactly. My bad. Well, here's the thing, Jane. First of all, that old they doing something to me stuff, that's old. And the other thing is that's a culture. That's a culture that I don't ascribe to, because it's a giving up type of mentality. Since they doing if everybody doing something to you, then you ain't got no power in your life. They controlling you, and they can't control you because you got my blood in your system. If they didn't control me, they can't control you. So I ain't trying to hear none of that. You doing what you doing because you do what you do, and I truly believe you trying to get yourself thrown out of that school so you ain't got to be at school so you can do what you want to do, and it ain't gonna happen. Cause if you ain't in that school, you gonna be here with me, and you ain't gonna like that. I guarantee you that. Cause I'm the only one that own their own job that can take you on all day long. So you gonna either be in that school or you gonna be here with me. And I promise you, if you were here with me in the school in session, you ain't gonna like that. You hear me, TJ? I, all right. All right, bet. You're welcome. Thank you, guys. Okay, man, I'm back.
Hard, kids. Ugh.
But that's my. Hold up. Hello? Hello? All right, that's good. But same person. So, yeah, I think that's my grandson. Again, I'm 55 now, so I got the experience of life. I know how I ended up in those penitentiaries, in those places, and on those drugs, and then when I see my grandson, but now I'm the grown person dealing with the women. See, like they done created this thing. They done created this thing in our society where black women are praised to be by themselves and raise these kids. They create these kids. These kids, they have no respect for the black man, period. Regardless of what the stigma. Okay, I went to jail. Okay, I was on drugs, but I'm not now. That's my grandson. I don't want him to go through all that. But my daughter love her daddy to death. But does she respect me? Loving somebody and respecting somebody is totally different. Her mother never had no respect, never taught her to respect. So now you got a man who's in a place to really be of service, but if it ain't financial, you don't want it. You want my money, but you don't want my experience. You don't want my knowledge. I'm sitting here telling you that what y'all doing was done to me. And y'all doing it to my grandson. So that,
What was that exactly?
just, I put it like this because it's more than, it's hard to articulate. Let's just put it like this. Boys are always taught to take care of your sister. Love your sister. You be there for your sister. Take care of your mama. Be the man of the house. They don't teach women to take care of the boys. Love on your brother. Make sure he all right. Because women have a thing. It's called femininity. Men need it. Men have a thing called masculinity. Women need it because they provide different essences in a relationship. It don't have to be romantic. The essence of a brother's masculinity taking care of his sister's femininity is needed. But when the sister don't have, when she's not taught to use her femininity to caress his masculinity, then he don't get something that he needs, which is love, care, nurture. This is what women do naturally. Most black boys don't get any of that.
Even from their mom?
No, because the woman is out here being masculine. She's out here, I work for a living, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. You know, I always held this this thing, you know how they say you have to have a two-parent household, you gotta work. Oh, you know, if you want to have two Mercedes, yeah, you both head back at work. But two people ain't gotta work in order to have a household. You've been taught to work. I heard something the other day, and I'm gonna get off his soapbox. I heard something the other day, it was profound to me. And the guy
was, if I turn the recording back on?
Turn it on. I ain't never stopped recording. And it was profound to me because they said that black women raise black girls, right? And they teach them to go to school, get an education. That's why most black women have black men and black women. The women's educational levels is way higher. Have your own money, get your own place. You can't trust no man. But what is that one? When we teach somebody something, what are we teaching from? We're teaching from our own experience. So if I don't have a husband, and I've never had a man that treated me right, and my experience is men and this, that, and other, when I raise this child, I'm teaching her through I can't teach her no other experience. That's why a woman can't raise a man and a man can't teach a woman to be a woman. You can raise a child, but eventually you got to bring in somebody of that sexual orientation to teach them nuances. I didn't learn to be a man. I was 40 years old. Pastor Kirk up at Youth About Business. When I was 40, I met this man. He became my pastor, and he the first person that ever told me that no, a man's supposed to pay all the bills. You're supposed to have all the bills in your name, and you're supposed to know what's going on in your household, and you're supposed to be able to accommodate those things. I always thought that you find a woman that know how to do all that because that's what my mama did. And then you put all the money in her hands. All you do is work and give her the money, and she takes care of the house. And then when that didn't work out for me, I didn't understand that ain't even her role. You see what I'm saying? Now, have women been forced into that role? Yes, but that's not the natural role. Ever since I met that man, all my bills in my name. My credit's great. I own stuff, but it's because of a mind change. Now I believe I create a kingdom, and then I put a queen in it. You know what I'm saying? Before that, the deal was go try to find a girl. She's in school. Maybe she got one kid or two kids all in the projects. You hustle, and you buy all the things in the house. And while she goes to school, you support that. And then y'all, you take your money with her education, and you kind of back that. And then y'all, that was what we were taught. And that's not historically correct, biblically correct. And anybody that's gonna argue with me, I just say, look at the state of black community. When black people had the least, they had the most community. And they had the least. Through Jim Crow, through the 60s, the 40s, they had the least, but yet they had the most community. And now we have the most, and we have the least community. Right before they called, I'll tell you, I was born out north. Well, I was born out east actually, but I grew up. I was born in James Casey Housing Projects out east, but I was raised out north. My grandmother lived in Andrew Jackson Projects over there, right there next to Fisk. So I claim Fisk as my own school because I grew up on that campus. Then my mom moved on Joe Johnson, those other projects, and the whole time we was over there, all that was the hood, all that was the slums, right? All they've done is move different people over there, and now that's prime real estate. Streets are the same, They took the same abandoned buildings that they never did nothing with, and now they holding concerts in those buildings down there on 12th Avenue with Joe Johnson. They got a big old venue down there. I forgot the name of it, but you can ride through there, and it's so dark down there. I remember one time my car caught a flat. I just kept driving. I said, I'm finna stop down here, but I go to a meeting, but it's not over there no more. But I just go to a meeting at Jackson Street Baptist Church, A&A meeting. And I'd come down there after the meeting over at like 9 o'clock. And be white girls just jogging. Darkest street. So how in the hell did they get so comfortable on them streets that I was scared to walk over and I was a big old black man? Same streets. So it can't be the neighborhood. It can't be a slum ain't a slum because it's a slum. A slum is a slum because somebody called it that. And then the people, whoever called it that, the people who were there believed what they said it was, and then they acted as if. Because I don't just put that on white folk, because I've also seen my mama moved in Westchester. They built a brand new up on Brick Church, and it was like cow pastures everywhere, and they just like put a neighborhood in the middle of it, all this woods. Now it's all been developed now, but I'm talking about in the 80s. So they just built the neighborhood in the middle of all these woods. We get up, we see cows, horses, deer, all this. This is in 1986. First time I ever had a deck, because we come from the projects now. First time I ever had a deck. First time I ever had my own room, dishwasher. I thought we were rich. But they moved everybody from the projects into this subdivision of duplexes. Within 5 years, they were selling dope on the street just like it was the projects. It wasn't the brick and mortar. It wasn't the houses. It was the mindset and the attitude. So you take people up there, take them out of this spot, and then you put them over here. If you put the same people, you take them out of this spot all together and put them over here all together. Only thing you transferred is the behavior and the people. It's gonna be the same. It don't matter if these are nice houses and nice. It's just you never dealt with the real issue, and that's just where I'm at with my grandson. You got generation after generation after generation because he never dealt with the core issue, and that is during the late 60s, they messed with the black family. And what I mean they mess with it is through the government, they tamper with a woman's, the black woman need of the black man, whether or not she needs him. Because if a woman gets pregnant, they'll give her a place. Now, if you give me my own house, now I'm feeling grown. I don't need my mama. I don't need nobody else because I got my own house. Then I said, well, I got children and I'm a human being. So then now you give me food stamps. You give me WIC. Now, the reason you saying you're doing it for the child, the good of the family and everything, which is all good, right? But at the same time, that you're taking care of me, you cutting the ties from me to my community, who would normally would have to lean on the need. If you got to lean on the need, then you have to listen, right? So then Clinton comes along and says, well, you can't just be on welfare, you got to work. But they train them. And then they expanded a lot of state and government jobs. So if you look at the state and government jobs, you got a lot of black women in those jobs. And a lot of them got master's degrees, all that. They don't pay nothing, but they got these degrees. They got these affiliations with sororities and all that. These was all the people up on Kamala. They had all that, increasing the less need of the black man. Now, how do I know that? When I was coming up and my mom was on welfare, you couldn't have a man in the house. They would terminate your support. So when they got time they used to do inspections. My mom would take my stepdaddy clothes, all of it out of the house, put it in the trunk of the car, and they come in and do the inspection. Or she put it, as we got a little bigger, she put it in the boys' room. So they engineered this disrespect and lack of need of the black man in the black community while increasing the prison, from the school to prison pipeline. So now they just, you don't need them because they don't do them go to prison. But then nobody talks about Ronald Reagan, Ollie North, and the Iran-Contra, and all the cocaine that they brought in. And they done did 1,000 movies on this. Where they went to the Italians. The Italians didn't even want to do the dope. They wasn't in the dope. They was in the prostitution, gambling. They didn't want to have no parts of the dope. But they had all the distribution. So the government tells them, y'all just put it in the black neighborhoods. At the meantime, they put in the cocaine in the black neighborhoods. They created crack. And in the meantime, Ronald Reagan started saying the just say no campaign. While you are creating the epidemic, you saying just say no. Then Bill Clinton comes in and Biden, they write the laws and lock all the black people up. And so the apathy that you're seeing in the black vote going for Trump is a direct descendant of all this mess. It's a direct descendant. So like the only person that did time behind all that, because Ollie North got a pardon. The only person that did time behind all that? Freeway Ricky Ross. And he did 20 years in prison. And the guy that they used to testify against him was the Iran-Contra dope dude that they was getting the dope from. And they sent him back home. This is the country. And all of this is on paper. But but it's our fault. Now, you give me poverty, drugs. I can have money, I can have cars, I can have the life that America says that, or I can be broke. Some people took broke and went, and took the hard way, the long way, and it was probably the better way. But the majority of people did that, and what's the remnants of that is what we have today. But it wasn't a natural progression of things. People had their hands in it, orchestrated it. And so we get here, I got a 9-year-old grandson struggling in school, smart as a whip, but he's struggling with authority. And since he's 9 and he's a boy, he telling his mama and his grandmama to go to hell. Now he don't do that with me, but who you think spends the least amount of time with? Me. Now she told me, I wanted to go to school with you, Dad. I'm gonna give them to you. I said, give them to me. But I'm gonna cut them dreads off his head. I'm telling you that now. All that long hair and all that's gonna be gone. Cause you ain't gonna cut my baby hair so where you keep it baby. Cause you're not gonna raise him over in my house. If you send him over here, he gonna abide by my rule. Ain't gonna call it home. Ain't no getting no help. It's gonna be what it is gonna be. You see what I'm saying? So how you gonna be anything other than confused, frustrated, and angry? How do I know what that's like? I've been there. What did that lead me to? Penitentiaries, drugs, drug dealing, penitentiaries, jails, programs, penitentiary. What ended up freeing me from that? Therapy. Finally, I went to jail in 2013. They gave me 2 6-year sentences running concurrently. I already had a 12. Before I got that paper, I had been in the system for 35 years.
For drugs?
For drugs. But I'm just saying, parole, probation, or in jail, 35 straight years before I got released from that.
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, but what I'm saying is, though I've come out on the other side, you would think the black community would be like, let's tap into that. Forget the black community, you would think my family would be, let's tap into that. Especially if we see we having a problem over here. You see what I'm saying? So, we got this thing where we try to protect our children. Because I'm a father and I'm a grandfather, so you want to protect your child. You want to protect you want to protect the grandchild. You want to offer a solution. But until, it's some respect for the collective in everybody's situation, then all you're going to have is chaos. And any kid, I don't care what good kid, bad kid, any kid to see what the adults are not in in agreement, they're gonna uh, they're gonna manipulate that.
It's tough. That.
That's what Trump does. Trump knows that Trump knows that the country is not in agreement on anything, and he manipulates that for his own benefit.
Yeah.
And it don't matter if you for Trump, because everything about Trump ain't terrible to me. But I just know that when he leaves, if he leaves, because I really don't believe he's leaving. I believe him when he said it's the last election you're gonna have to have. I believed him. And I'm one of those people that I trip because people keep saying, you can't do that. And America keeps saying, yeah, we can. And that was before Trump. I'll never understand nobody when they say that's against the law. You can't do that. I said, I've been breaking the law ever since I've been alive.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So we have them kind of conversations here at this barbershop all the time. You know what I'm saying? So your readers tell them to look us up on Real Barbershop TV.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask, where does it go? Where does it go? The
Real Barbershop TV.
It's on YouTube?
It's on YouTube, it's on TikTok, it's on all the platforms. Since my guy here that really posts the Real Barbershop. So this will end up on Facebook and Instagram tonight. Yeah.
I'm shy.
But it ain't gonna be all of it. That's too long.
Okay, good.
But I try.
You can edit me out if you want. It can just be you saying smart things. I'm just.
Yeah, I try to do a clip. I'm not really good. I'm more proficient at creating the ideas or having the concepts and speaking to whatever the issue is. And I try that these younger people manipulate, matriculate, do all the things with I'm 55. I don't know. I mean, you know, like people really think we've always had phones. I tell people we haven't. This is new. Think about it. How old are you?
38.
38. All right.
I didn't have a phone until I was in my 20s.
This is new.
Life is better without it.
I remember beepers. They don't even know nothing about no beeper.
I think doctors still have beepers.
I mean, I think they do, because doctors' beepers don't have no numbers on them. Doctors' beepers, if it beeps, you know it's the hospital. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I remember when people would have the garage door open, it's on their belt, faking it. You know what I'm saying? You know, so like this technology is probably 30 years old. Yeah. At best. Yeah.
And the smartphone, less than that.
Yeah.
The little candy bar one.
Yeah, I remember when I went to prison in 2005. It was flip phones. Mm-hmm. And when I came home, they had the so-called smartphone. But is the phone smart, or does the phone make us dumb? Because I can remember, like, I can still say my grandmama number 329-2019. She been dead for years. But I still got that number, 937 Blank Street. I still got the address, because in my day, you had to have these addresses and numbers in your head. And I probably had 50 of them back then. Could pull them off like nothing. And I don't even know my daughter's number by heart.
I know. It's scary. It's scary.
So if something happened to me, I'd be like, give me my phone.
So, I know my husband's number, and I made him memorize mine.
No, I didn't.
I was because I know this.
Hola, ¿tienes baño?
Come on in.
¿Baño?
Yeah, haircut?
There's a bathroom.
Bathroom? Yeah, right there.
Can I use it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
Can you shut that door?
Yeah.
You better than me. I didn't know anything. I thought he said you speak Spanish.
He said, I think he said tienes baño.
Oh, okay.
Do you have a bathroom?
I'm going to read that right there and tell you what we offer. Because I got it in Spanish for that reason. But, yeah, man.
Can I ask you, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Going back to your customers.
I get carried away.
No, it's great. I'm learning a lot here. Going back to your customers for a second, is there any kind of, in the course of the conversations you've had through the program, things that stuck with you, interactions with customers, or things that they said, or kind of ways that you were able to help someone using the program, things like that?
Oh, yeah. Well, like, one of the things I haven't even shared with you, but I have, like, behind that podium, I have a couple of self-test kits there. So, like, if I have a conversation with somebody and they really want to know, but they're afraid, or they don't want to go into a clinical situation, I can give them the test and they can take it with them. Because my thing is not to know your status. That's not my thing. My thing is that you know your status. You know what I'm saying? And so being able to talk to them, you know, I aged into having to go to the doctor, so you know, I get tested, my blood drawn all the time. But you want what my hope is to make it normal or normalize going to the doctor. Come on in.
Hi. No, you're good, you're good.
What you trying to do?
I'll throw some more stuff in, but I'm gonna lay down.
Yeah, well, wait, because we're finishing up this interview. You can come on in, though.
No one needs to stay out because of me.
Right.
You need to put a sign up. Shoot it in person. We're good.
Yeah, so my thing is to normalize getting tested, knowing your status. And if we can normalize that, then we broke the stigma. We cut it, because it's just like with blood sugar, you know, A1C. They've normalized knowing your A1C. It's so normalized that doctor gonna do that test on you without you asking. That's part of the blood work. So why wouldn't HIV, sexually transmitted disease, be a part of the blood work? Now we know some of that's money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like at the end of the day, it always circles back around to finances.
Yeah.
So
you shared at the beginning of the interview that you had a family member who had a diagnosis, and how do you think your own response to that and how we were able to kind of interact with your family was shaped by your being part of this program?
Oh man, it was great because my family is just like any other family. So and this was a young person. They just turned 18, but they was like 17 when they got diagnosed. But a wild person, run away, this, that, and the other, and so they lived a promiscuous life. I don't even like promiscuous. That's not right. That's not. What else would be a better word for that? Because it wasn't about promiscuity, because it was just wild. You know, like I think it's more.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
I think it was more mentally, you know, open. Yeah, there you go. I think it was more mentally challenged type of thing, you know, that made them run away a lot and stay out there. And then I think living and existing out there brought about doing certain things to, you know, and but the long and short of it is, my people caught up with her. They thought she was looking pregnant. And this is what I talk about a lot in here too with a lot of young men. They just worried about getting somebody pregnant. And that's all my people were worried about, was she pregnant. Then they took her to get tested about being pregnant, and they found out that she was HIV positive. And then of course they went into that, she can't drink on anything around here, but just so happened, and that's where I say God's good, because I have been in this program. I had all the information, and I was able to tell them, man, y'all calm down. First of all, she can live a normal life. She can have children. They can be born without HIV. All she had to do is get medicated. If she gets her levels down to a certain number, undetected means unable to transmit. I had all the information and all the language to where they was able to be around here, be around her comfortable, hugging, kissing, really embracing and helping her through this diagnosis. Because actually, she was in and out of foster homes and stuff. When she found out, she went off. So I stabbed myself and give all, you know what I'm saying? She was like that mentally. They just let her leave. So she found the police had got her, brought her back into DCS care or whatever. She was in a facility or whatever, and she told them people, cut me and put blood on all, and they let her go. I understood that. This job ain't worth catching a chronic illness. When they got her again, after that they caught her again, and they moved her out of state somewhere in a facility, and then they worked with her. My people went down there and visited with her. And she came back and she's turning 18. So she's 18 now. So hopefully, I don't see her much. hopefully she's doing well. And but we have to understand that's another thing. Like when we did our training, man, a lot of this is mental health too. So like we could like the way grants and stuff are written, you have to like pinpoint one thing. But the truth is, it's so all interrelated that it's hard to deal with anything in our society without it being multi-pronged. But the way they do the financial support in anything around this country, it's you have to zero in. So like we having all this conversation and we talking about cutting the stigma because that's the program. But as you see, it's so the connective tissue of cutting the stigma is so interrelated with other issues. It's impossible for me to have a honest conversation about it without bringing up mental health, financial, racism, classism. All these things intersect to create this is what we call America. We just tend to want to just talk about the good part.
Sure.
That's it.
You were mentioning that even that you as a community health worker, when you were interacting with the doctors in the program, sometimes they were kind of so far up here and not really fully aware of what's happening on the ground. Can you talk through any of those kind of misunderstandings or challenges?
Well, it's just like the thing. It's just like I'm sure they mean well. The people who are doing the advertising, the ones who's putting out the information on PrEP and stuff. What do you call them? What do you call them companies that do PR?
PR companies.
PR companies and all that. But at the end of the day, because they're not connected to it, because they're not on the ground level, because they're the ones with they're the decision makers because they got the education and all that. But and a lot of times the decision makers don't necessarily acquiesce to the foot soldiers because it's not normally how American culture works. Like I tell people all the time, when it comes to the academics, I let Dr. Allen speak to the numbers, but when it comes to actual interaction, she's not in here. You know what I'm saying? So like I think those people, because all their data and everything tells them that it's homosexual, but you got to understand something. The LGBTQ community were labeled with this disease in the beginning. They know about it. They've been with it since Magic Johnson, right? So it's no reason to advertise this to their community. You know what I'm saying? You want to advertise. They don't have no stigma. You know what I'm saying? So the people you're trying to reach is the so-called heterosexual community. So then all of the messaging and labeling should be making sure that they know that they too are subjected to it, but it hasn't happened. So I think that's a disconnect between the academic world and the boots on the ground situation. I think people with money, they're cool with Trump. The people who, the ultra rich, the top 1%, they cool with what Trump doing. Because they all making money. He's killing the stock market. They all going in buying low. He said he don't do the tariffs. The stock market goes back up. They just made millions of dollars. And just like he said, I don't care what the cost of a car costs. It'll make them buy American cars. Now here's the question: what is an American car now? Because just because it's an American company, half of the damn car was made in Mexico, Canada. All the parts come from Japan, China. So what is an American car? And I think sometimes, and that's just a metaphor for the people at the top, can't see. T.I. said it like this. He said, "What does a giraffe and a turtle have in common?" You know what I'm saying? One eating in the trees and one eating from the dirt. Their perspective is different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
have you had any hard conversations either with the doctors or with your customers through this?
I haven't, but I mean, as you can tell, I'm an orator, and I have the ability to see on both sides of things. So I've had disagreements or haven't agreed, but it's communicating with me haven't been hard. With either side, with the people here, because most of these people here, they know me, and they know if they I put it to you like this: in the Malady book that we study for become barbers, it says you don't talk about religion, you don't talk about politics.
Where's it? Is you have that book here?
No, I don't know. I've been doing this 14 years now, but all I talk about is religion, politics. I have the hard conversations, you know, and the reason why they teach against it is because it divides. But I really know where you stand. And like I said, I can see both sides. I've had somebody sit here, an Arab guy, sit in the chair that you sitting in, and tell me why all black people are lazy and why we still in the position that we are in, and how his family has only been over here 3 years and they own 3 stores, and it's because we work so hard, right? And I listened, I didn't get angry, and then I went on to show him how institutionally somebody made a decision that black people were going to be at the bottom. And we haven't been able to rise. And every time we have rose, they have destroyed whatever it is that we built. I said, have you ever noticed that y'all serve black people? Your stores, 3 stores, they're in black communities serving black people. You think black people don't own stores because we're lazy? I said, even in this store, because at the time I didn't own this, I said, I'm here first. I stay here the latest. Why does Muhammad make all the money? I said, now here's the thing. Because y'all come from Iraq, because they was from Iraq. I said, when y'all get here, y'all look for y'all people and y'all support them. I said, we've been taught as a people to not support each other. You got little Iraq, little Mexico, little China, where little black town at? It don't exist. And if it tried to exist in this country, they would destroy it. Because they had them, Tulsa, Oklahoma, you know what I'm saying? They had it. They called it Black Wall Street. They had, what's the Rosewood? They had it. So the idea.
They put the highway in North Nashville.
Come on now, right down Jefferson Street. And now they got Jefferson Street. They tricked us out of the farmers market. When they built the new museum, they said that was gonna be the black museum. Y'all, you probably don't remember that. Well, you weren't here, but they said that was gonna be they was building that on Jefferson to be the black museum. You know what I'm saying? And then when they built it, they gave us the old museum. They made the black museum the old museum, and they made the new museum, what it was, the American Museum, whatever. And then, you know, black people, we're at a place of apathy now. It's like, hell, we don't win. It's not designed for us to win. We never were brought over here to win. So, you know, and if anybody black say that, then they act like you hate America. It's just the truth of America. We love America. We fought and died for it on many occasions. But does she treat black people the same as she treats others? No. It's people coming over here today. They coming over on a boat today. And they're going to outperform me today. And it's not because they're smarter. I tell black people all the time, it ain't America gives them extra money or grants and that. It's just, it's set up for us to be where we're at. Period. I mean, tell me how many, you say you're 38? So you grew up through the Michael Jackson era, Prince, how many black people, celebrities, people of money have you seen die since you've been alive and pass their money on to black people?
Often not.
You can accumulate as much money as you want when you black. They're gonna make a way that you ain't gonna be able to give it to black people when you die. Kobe's money went to Latinos. They stripping Bill Cosby of all his money now. They stripped Michael Jackson of all his money. Then he had 3 white kids that as soon as he died, they got the money and sued the grandmama to put her off of the trust. Prince. They made Michael Jackson and Prince dope addicts. I've watched Michael Jackson and Prince my whole life, never heard of no drug stories. I heard a lot of stuff, but no drugs. But they died of drug overdose. Whitney Houston died in a tub, drug overdose. Then her daughter, who received her money, she died a year later in a tub, drug overdose. See, one of them by itself don't sound, but when you start actually laying it out together, it don't make no sense. It's beyond coincidence. So, like I say this, I told somebody this day. I said Oprah Winfrey worth $2 billion, right? She has no children. Her dad was from here. He's dead. Who's gonna get Oprah money when she died?
I don't know. She made that public?
No, but you see what white billionaires do. Bill Gates them giving their money away. Warren Buffett giving his money away. They give their kids what they're going to give them, and then they give the rest of it to philanthropy because they understand and you can't control your money from the grave. Black people either get scandaled out of their money, sued out of their money, or locked up out of their money. P. Diddy hit $1 billion. And the same with R. Kelly, and people don't like this, but I always tell people, I said, don't go by all the stuff you've heard. Look at what he got convicted of. Don't talk. He ain't convicted of Aaliyah and all that, no videotape, none of that stuff. He got a ticket. He got convicted of sex trafficking. What they doing from Mexico with these people? Like they just hit a sex traffic ring in Nashville not too long, a couple of days ago. One of these, you know, when they send these parlors and all that stuff, that's sex trafficking. If I hit you in your DMs and I tell you it's a ticket for you, come on to my show, that ain't sex trafficking. But they using a law, the Mann Act. This law is so old. They made it for Jack Johnson because he liked white women. That's what it was for. A black celebrity that liked white women. That's what it was for. They got Jack Johnson on it, and they got Chuck Berry on it. Look it up. And then look up what they got Diddy on. Man have $1 billion. He goes out and said he did two things before all this happened in his life. He went out and said that DeLeon, that company, he did his part in promoting Ciroc because we thought he owned Ciroc. And they started supporting another liquor brand instead of his. And he sued them. And he won. Same thing with Michael Jackson and Sony. He won. Same thing with Prince and Sony. They won. And then their life went to hell in a handbasket. Diddy won. Then he said, we ain't voting for y'all. Y'all won't have to give us something for our vote. You don't remember that? And then all of a sudden, the feds at his house. Not the regular old police. Homeland Security. Then they found 1,000 bottles of baby oil with MGHG and whatever that is. And my thing is, why would you spike all 1,000 of them at one time?
It's weird.
I mean, if I'm a freak off, I'm gonna say, how many we think we're gonna use? 4 of them? You know, I put some MGHG in, and then 4 we gonna use tonight. We're gonna have the freak off. I'm gonna have my people sit there and spike 1,000 bottles. It don't even make sense. It don't make sense. And then since when has been a freak, been a crime? Jeff Epstein, a lot of people don't know this. Jeff Epstein being a pedophile.
Scary guy.
They let him off though. The first time down in Florida, they let him off. Then he came back up again. And they had him in jail. And he was like, somebody better come talk to me or I'm going to start talking. And then all of a sudden, you know how many protocols didn't go through for him to be found in there hanging up? But we going to accept it.
Well, there are some powerful people.
Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, that prince over there in Wales. Come on. I mean, but we be we be wanting to believe this. We be wanting to believe the nonsense so bad. So like, no man, black people, no matter what black people done in this country, and then like Black History Month, right? I ain't even tripping off of it being the shortest month of the year or whatever. But Black History Month, they gonna tell you about a peanut, Martin Luther King. They can't help it because they mention they don't teach you about Malcolm X, but they mention him. Black people bring him up.
And just the way that Malcolm X is taught in nature is shocking.
Yeah.
And then you look what he's actually saying. Like,
exactly. And if you look at all the white universities, they booked him when he was alive. That he went and he so he didn't hate white people, but they won't let you know that he said you can help, but you can't join. You know what I'm saying? So then you look at. Have you ever noticed? And then I'm gonna get off this soapbox. Have you ever noticed though that there is no black group of anything? I'm talking about fraternities, sororities, gangs. No black group that white folks can't join. They got white people in the Black Gangster Disciples.
really?
Yes, I'm a gangster disciple, I know. So they in our fraternity, they Q-Dogs, they Alphas, they AKAs, they Deltas, they 4-H clubs, no matter what, motorcycle clubs. It's nothing in America that a black person can build and keep it black. They in our clubs, they in our movies. You ain't even Panther. They made a black man they made a white man like a big plate. They gave him a big spot in Black Panther. You don't remember the movie?
No.
It's nothing in Black America and black groups that white folks ain't gonna join. They would not let black churches. They show up. They would not let black people in this country have nothing autonomous from the United States, from this country. Now think about how many white groups black people can't join.
Oh, yeah.
You ain't never seen no black man in the KKK. But they in the Bloods, the Crips, they in every, they in the MS-13, it's nothing else. There's no groups that white folks ain't gonna join. But then they can have they groups. They can have ain't no blacks in Skull and Bones. Ain't no black folks in Hell's Angels. You know what I'm saying? Oh, have you ever seen one?
No, I gotta confess, I don't know a lot about Hell's Angels. But no, I'm sure you're right.
It probably is one, because it's, you know what I'm saying, it's, you know, if it is, it's very small, minute, like country music. Even though we started it and we created it. They had the #1 country song was Black Boy song, but they gave the award to Billy Ray Cyrus. That Old Town Road, Lil Nas X, that was his song, but when the song went so big, they gave the award to Billy Ray Cyrus down here in Nashville, Tennessee. After on Music Row had a big old sign, "Hey Billy Ray, millions albums," so that ain't his song. So America's funny that it can be blatantly, outright racist. And if a black person or a Palestinian, like they throwing them out now, I don't even understand how, in this self-respecting, are they Jews? Is that what they call themselves?
Israelis?
Israelis.
Yeah.
I mean, which one is he?
Well, so
because I'm trying to, I try to use the right terminology because I'm like, where were they in Hitler? Where was they over there? Where were they in Germany?
In Germany, they were like generally European Jews, and then they founded the state of Israel. And in
1949.
Israel, yeah, and it's a religious state in the sense that they're Israelis, but it is a Jewish state.
Okay.
But obviously there are Jews all over the world who are not Israelis. But the ones in Israel who are bombing the Palestinians are Israelis.
Which are Ashkenazi Jews.
Ashkenazi Jews, yeah. But they also oppress. There's also the Mizrahi Jews who are like the Arab Jews, and also the Ethiopian Jews, both of whom are
the original Jews. We know who are really Semite people. Who they are not. They are European people.
Yeah.
But you could be an anti-Semite if you talk about them. But they can kill Semites because that's who the Palestinians are.
15,000 children, that's fine.
Yeah, and it's cool. And if you say anything, they throw you out of the country.
I grew up in the Middle East.
I'm just saying, if I was, because you know what I'm saying, if I was Jewish or Israeli, I just want to make sure I'm not being disrespectful to whatever the hell they are. But if I'm that, and I'm the descendant of a persecuted person from Hitler, how can you sit back?
Yeah.
And they're killing them. Y'all keep wanting to talk about Hamas, and they know Hamas over there. Y'all killing the people, and ain't no way around it. And then the leadership keeps talking.
I mean,
The question is crazy because in 1949 they could have gave those Jews Germany. They had just defeated Germany. They was already in Germany. They could have gave them Germany and invited all the Jews to Germany.
No, but they didn't want it near there. Like, this is not a problem. We're just gonna send you over here.
Right.
And...
No, because they wanted to. This is what I'm saying. The Europeans in America, which they're European too. So when you say Europe, you might as well say America too, because these are European descendants. Mm-hmm. But the Europeans wanted to have a stronghold in the Muslim world. And because of the Bible, they chose Israel. They chose Palestine and Israel because that's, because of the Bible. But what kills me is, and I don't have a dog or hunting that, because I'm not from Palestine. I don't know where the hell I'm from. I'm from North Nashville. But what I have a problem with is that when y'all narrate the story, y'all act like people. It's like America. Like people went on this land.
Yeah.
And now y'all saying they can't have a two-state. They can't live amongst them. We got to destroy them and push them out and cleanse them. And the president basically said ethnically cleanse the whole Gaza Strip and then make it a Trump tourist attraction. Now, let's see why Palestinians will be mad. I had this land and had already broken the land and ceded the land and built states on the land. And in 1949, by force, y'all came over here and just took my house, took my land, kicked me out. And the reason why you did it, because you did it in America. So you already had a blueprint. And then you put these people over here, they ain't know nothing about this land.
And what's crazy is in Palestine, there were ethnic Palestinian Jews. You know what they called them? Palestinians.
Yeah.
I grew up over there. I grew up in Bahrain, like nearby.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, they don't ever articulate that this was these people's. Like if you look at the map, an older map, that whole area just says Palestine. Yeah. Wasn't no Israel, it was Palestine. Big old, almost as big as Africa. Yeah. On the map anyway, we know that's not true. So they said Palestine, so why don't y'all articulate what the problem is? And then they say, okay, look, man, we know y'all got all this power. America keep giving y'all these nuclear bombs and all this. Just give us half of our country so we can be free to manage ourselves the way we want to do. And they say, no, can't give you that because it's our land. This is the land of our fathers. God gave us. God didn't give us.
Also, all the settlers, if you meet them, they're like dudes from Brooklyn.
Yeah,
what are you doing here?
Right. And they can come over there from anywhere and they automatic citizens because of their mama. Because it ain't even daddy. It's like Drake, he can move over there. You
can't verify the dad in the same way. It's the mom, yeah.
Right. But I'm saying Drake's Jewish because his mom's Jewish. Yeah. Right? So, I'm like, come on, man. And so, when I listen to the reporting on it, it sickens me.
It's so bad. As a journalist, I'm ashamed. It
sickens me. And then you hear our politicians, and then, and see, that's why I say it's black people in America. Our taste and our sense of what goes on around the world, we understand. Like, we ain't Palestinian, but we know he got...
Do you read the poet June Jordan? She was a black poet from here, but she wrote a lot about Palestine in the 80s, I think.
But I've been black my whole life. So I know what melanin, I know how people with melanin gets treated all over the country, and I'm a historian for us. Like I'm historically correct on when that became Israel. You know what I mean? So and then it's just like they try to tell us that all us came from Africa. It's impossible. Because the so-called Native American population is barely over 1 million people. In the black population, we 13% of this population. I think it's 350 million people in this country. So we 40, 50 million. How in the hell we are a bigger population than the natural people on this land. No, if you know about the word Seminole, meaning black, if you know about escaped slaves, were with a lot of the so-called Indian tribes, if you know that a lot of the so-called Indians held slaves, then you understand that we were already here. It don't even make it. I always, if you ever watch the movie 12 Years a Slave?
No.
With Lil P. Dog.
No, I'd like to say I haven't seen it.
Great movie. But the point is, oh damn.
You go ahead.
Hey, can you call me back in 30 minutes? Yeah, give me a meeting in 30 minutes. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'm trying to get a business loan. But so anyway, they in 12 Years a Slave, it's all about a guy. He's a violinist. He's educated. He's up north. They just steal him and take him down south, and now he's a slave. So if they doing that at that time, why the hell would they just kill all of the so-called Indians and then go all the way across the ocean to go bring slaves over here? It makes no sense, especially when you were to have somebody that knows the land, knows the animals, knows the movement, because they didn't come over here with none of that. The whole purpose of them coming over here is to live a life of leisure, the slave owners. So they didn't know the land, they didn't work the land, they didn't know which crops were good. A lot, like especially like in places like where France owned slaves, that's why New Orleans is so full of vibrant. Because the people who were there, the so-called Creole, they introduced this their way into their way. You know what I'm saying? And then they created something new out of what they had going on. So like, but the curse of Columbus, if you even believe that, thought he landed in India. Well, if you know what India's, the average majority of Indians look like, it's not those light-skinned Indians that they show you in Hollywood. They're black like me. If you look at most so-called white features, you can find them right there on the base of Africa, India, and Asia. All of the phenotypes are right there, and they're represented in black faces, the blue eyes and everything. So like, they know. And then it's just like the same pastor I told you taught me how to what it was to really truly be a man and how to be a leader in the household. Cause I read, right? So I had a conversation with him. I was like, man, why are we celebrating Christmas? We're a Christian church and we're Bible believers, and it's clear in Leviticus. I mean, a lot of black people, I ain't gonna say black people, a lot of people don't know that in Leviticus it says no holiday. Everything that we do at Christmas, it says don't do it. The tree, the deck, the halls, the holly, the whole, it's literally spelled out in Leviticus, to God is sin. And all the Christians do it. And so I asked Pastor Kirk, I said, man, why are we doing that? And I said, I know you got to know, because I know. He said, well, if you notice, Steve, we don't never put up no trees or nothing in this church. He said, but I allowed them to have it because they're so used to having it. If you told them the truth, you would lose half of your congregation. And that is America.
Well, the whole thing, they like, they have pagan festivals, whether it's Easter or Christmas, that they built on to kind of convert people.
Yeah. So you got people right now that's voting to kill people because of a book that they don't even follow. They have a big old Christmas tree at the White House. They have bunny rabbit. All this is fertility stuff and pagan stuff. They do all of that, and they'll say it's because of God that they're killing these people.
Because God definitely said kill children.
And guess where the Bible started at? So the original Palestinian people look like me. And these people from Europe, Russia, and all these places, they come over here and say it's their land. They stole these people's whole identity. This is the biggest identity theft
Yeah.
in the history of mankind. And you know what's so crazy? You got Kanye, right? You familiar with him? So he came out, he just did an interview, he came out with the swastika, right? Everybody's mad, especially black people mad. You know, and black people never been persecuted under the swastika. I don't know why they mad, but they mad because white people said they did this to the Jews. But if you research the symbol of the swastika, guess where it come from?
India.
It come from Egypt.
From India too. They have Hinduism.
Yeah. It's black. It's your heritage that somebody appropriated and did horrendous things under. But it can't. If I take the cross, which they did, and they did the Spanish Inquisition, they killed millions of people, but the cross is still held as holy, right? You see what I'm saying? So it's crazy to me. And he ain't gonna die with none of his money either. You know what I'm saying? Because he has the audacity to think for himself. So like that's the reason why I loved the Da Vinci Code. Because it dug into the symbols and everything, Masonic symbols. Like we surrounded by paganism and stuff. Everything about this country is satanic. And if you see it as satanic or pagan or pick your word. And because we done been doing it long, we call it tradition. Yeah.
That's true. I'm so sorry. I gotta go pick up my son.
Well, you go do that. You can take that and try to do something with it.
I'm gonna. Thank you. Is there anyone else you think I should talk to in the program? I reached out to.
Did you talk to Nate?
I reached out to Nate. Yes.
And what did he say?
Well, he hasn't gotten back to me yet. But
okay. Well, me and Nate.
Do you have a phone number from by any chance?
Oh, Nate. Yeah. Me and Nate are the barbers associated with it. So he definitely will be. You're gonna find out we're not alike.
Yeah. Nate King, right?
All right, 615.
Yeah.
606.
606.
5505.
606-5505.
Yes, ma'am. You should. Let me see. He's probably at work, but you still might be able to get him on the phone right now.
I would love. I gotta go get my.
I mean, I'm just saying to set him up for a time to talk to him.
Yeah, I can call him on the way.
Yeah.
So I had to like rush off. There are other questions I want to ask you. Maybe I'll call you on the phone.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I know I take soft and talk, so.
It's good. Now that's my favorite kind of interview. You kind of go in unexpected directions. It's good. It's good.
Okay. Well, it's nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
All
and
right.
thank you. I hope to drive your customers away.
No.
Okay.
Ain't nobody came in. They don't care nothing about what you doing.
Well, I just don't. Your friend, the woman there.
No, she works here.
Okay. Well, still, I don't want to.
Yeah, I got all of that. So now I got to figure out. She can help me figure out how to